You're born into a galaxy far, far away. But don't get excited. It's not the glamorous kind with daring Jedi and dashing smugglers. No, you're born into the Empire's war machine, stamped with a number before you can even take your first breath. There's no family here, no loving parents cooing over you. You're just one of thousands, a faceless cog in an endless production line of soldiers bred for war. Congratulations, Cadet. Your entire existence is predetermined by a system that doesn't even know your name. From the moment you're old enough to stand upright, you're thrust into training that feels less like education and more like a sadistic obstacle course. Crawl through mud, shoot at moving targets, memorize codes, repeat. You're not just learning how to be a soldier, you're learning how to stop being you. Your personality? Gone. Individuality? Forget it. You're not allowed to have dreams or hobbies or even a favorite color. Your job is to follow orders, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll survive long enough to question why you're doing it in the first place. By the time you're handed your first blaster rifle, you're probably wondering what it's like to be one of the important people. You know, the ones with faces. Except in your case, important means Darth Vader might look at you long enough to choke the life out of you for a minor screw-up. You're nothing more than a white-shelled grunt, and your helmet isn't even comfortable. You'll spend most of your life staring through a visor that fogs up at the worst possible moments, wondering why the Empire couldn't have invested in better ventilation. And that's just the gear. Let's talk about your training. If you thought dodging lasers in practice was bad, just wait until you're thrust into your first live combat scenario. Spoiler alert, you're going to miss a lot. Turns out the Empire doesn't exactly prioritize marksmanship. They'd rather you march in perfect formation than actually hit your target. Why? Because you're expendable. There are always more Stormtroopers where you came from, and nobody's going to notice when your number gets scratched off the roster. Imagine this. You're stationed on some backwater planet guarding a door. You don't know why the door's important, and honestly, you don't care. But you'll stand there for hours, sweating in your armor, watching rebels, smugglers, and even droids have more fun than you've ever had in your entire life. And let's not forget the insults. Everyone hates you. The rebels see you as oppressors, the locals see you as nuisances, and even your superiors can't stand to look at you. To them, you're just another faceless drone to be ordered around. You might be thinking, at least I get to travel? Sure, if you count standing in formation on a Death Star as traveling. You've got a front row seat to every galactic atrocity the Empire commits, but you'll never get to enjoy the cantinas or beaches. You'll be too busy chasing rebels, or more likely, being blown up by them. Have you ever tried enjoying a sunset while knowing there's a 70% chance a random explosion will vaporize you? Yeah, it's not as great as it sounds. Stormtrooper Survival 101. Life expectancy as a Stormtrooper? Let's just say you're not planning for retirement. Your chances of survival hinge on 3 basic rules. Don't ask questions. Seriously, questioning orders is a great way to get reassigned to janitorial duty on the Death Star, and we all know how that ends. Avoid the rebels. They might look scrappy, but trust me, they're annoyingly competent. One thermal detonator, and boom, you're a statistic. Never be the closest to Darth Vader. You'd think the rebels are your worst enemy, but no, it's your own boss. Vader's idea of motivation is strangling someone as a warning to others. Be somewhere else when he's in a bad mood. But survival isn't just about dodging lasers and Vader's wrath. It's about enduring the mind-numbing monotony. Days bleed into weeks as you patrol the same corridors, listen to the same propaganda, and eat the same tasteless rations. You start to wonder if you're more machine than man. Not because you've got cool cybernetic upgrades, but because your entire existence feels automated. As you mature, if you can call it that, you might start dreaming of glory. Maybe you'll take out a rebel leader or capture a smuggler with a Wookiee in tow. But deep down, you know the truth. Nobody's writing songs about stormtroopers. At best, you'll be remembered as the guy who couldn't hit Luke Skywalker from 10 feet away. At worst, you're cannon fodder, obliterated in some battle you didn't even understand. And don't even think about defecting. Sure, you've heard whispers of guys like Finn who managed to break free and join the Resistance. But let's be real. Defection is a 1 in a million shot, and you've never been that lucky. The Empire's got eyes everywhere, and the punishment for even thinking about leaving isn't worth the risk. So you keep your head down, plaster on a compliant expression, not that anyone can see it, and march in line with the rest of your squad. By the time you've survived a few years, a minor miracle, you're not the bright-eyed cadet you once were. Your armor is scuffed, your blaster's malfunctioning, and your soul? Yeah, that's been crushed into dust. The propaganda doesn't inspire you anymore. It just reminds you of all the people who'll never know you existed. You're not even sure if the Empire's winning or losing. All you know is that your squad keeps getting smaller and replacements are fewer and further between. Eventually, you hear rumors of the Death Star being destroyed, again. Or the Emperor biting it at the hands of a Jedi. The higher-ups don't tell you much, but you start to notice the cracks in the Empire's facade. Morale drops. Supplies dwindle. And then, one day, you're standing on some remote battlefield, watching a rebel flag rise in the distance. You realize, in that moment, that everything you fought for, everything you endured, was for nothing. If you're lucky enough to make it out alive, you'll probably end up as a bounty hunter, mercenary, or anonymous drifter. Nobody retires from Stormtrooper duty with a pension and a beach house. Your entire identity has been stripped away, leaving you with little more than scars, both physical and psychological. You might find yourself sitting in a cantina one day, watching the galaxy move on without you, wondering if anyone will ever remember your name or number. Spoiler alert, they won't. And somewhere out there, another cadet is being born into the same soul-crushing system, donning the same uncomfortable armor, and marching into a life they never chose. Because in the end, the Empire doesn't care about stormtroopers. You're replaceable, disposable, and forgotten. The galaxy turns, the war rages on, and your story fades into the void. But hey, at least you're not a red shirt on a Starfleet mission. Now that's a thankless job.